must be nice.
That must be.
I miss. Where is Ly Jennings? I know he was on Love and Hip Hop for a little bit,
Let's not
but
talk.
look, I didn't watch it either, but I saw him on there. I was just like, all I kept thinking was like, he's in Atlanta too. Like literally everybody that pops on there, I'm like, oh,
The
they're in
crazy
Atlanta.
thing is, he he was. I want to say he was almost engaged to Carly Red.
Sure, yeah,
You don't know who
that
that
was
is,
gonna.
do you?
That was no, I know. I watched that
Okay,
whole thing, and I was just like,
the woman whose age.
what script did that come from? Like, come on,
Nothing is more. I was gonna. Do you ever see the movie Top Five
top
with
five.
Chris Rock?
Yes, yeah,
So she was in that movie as one of the strippers from that night.
she was. Yes,
That is
remembered
burned
well.
into my head. I was like, ooh,
You know,
ew, no, take that
the
back.
journey that folks take. That's what you got to think. Like, yeah, that happened.
Mm-mm. Well, we gonna wait until we get a couple more folks in. You know, we y'all. I was gonna say y'all coming from church. Y'all not coming from nowhere.
It's definitely
Most of
Tuesday
y'all been
night.
at the house all day.
Right. Shoot, Tuesday night used to be choir rehearsal for me. Tuesday night was our choir
See,
rehearsal day.
that's always Wednesday night for me.
Really? Y'all
Um,
have Bible study on Wednesday nights?
no, no. Well, Bible study and choir rehearsal would be on the same night, and
Ah,
then
okay.
the Presbyterians so cool. They feed you too, so you get there. You
Amen.
know, a little early. You can get up on a plate,
Yeah.
get a word, and then go sit in choir rehearsal for 90 minutes.
Yes. Tuesday night was our choir rehearsal day.
So, Lydia,
There
let's
it
not
is.
bring back.
Wait, we're live. There we go.
Uh-uh.
All right, boom.
All right. So, for all you people who are watching, welcome to another fantastic episode of Black Table Read. This is episode three.
Yes.
Three.
Yes.
Three. So we up in here. I am one of your hosts, Mr. Jarius Cliett, and I am also with the ever so gracious and beat to the gods,
Oh, child.
and beauty, Miss
Ah!
Lydia A. Cool.
When I tell you this is just for this, like I literally was like, oh shoot, go ahead and pop on a little face real quick.
Look, I put on a shirt.
Camera. Look, and that's y'all got it good.
I said,
Y'all got it so good. Just change it up and that's it. Do a little brush here, maybe whatever, and then y'all good.
I'm appalled
No, we
how.
got to do shine control and
Uh-uh.
pop on some. Yeah, it's
See, I'm
all.
appalled that like my facial hair and my line, because I've been so busy I haven't seen my barber in a little bit. So,
Oh yeah,
and
that's the
then
thing.
somebody invited me to do this casting that I had sent in for, was like, hey, can you come in on Thursday to do this photo shoot? I said,
Hmm.
um, y'all need to see what I look like right now to determine if y'all still want me, because the picture that I sent you is from them early quarantine days when I was working out every day
See,
and whatnot. You know, I don't
right,
look that different, but I got a little tummy.
right. Oh,
got a little, got a little tummy going on.
and most of the time they don't really. Well, it depends on who it is. They may care, they may not.
I was
But
like, just up
certain
here,
folks will just be like,
up here.
"So, are you the same weight? Are you the same?" For us, it's like, "Is this the same hair color?" Like I remember going in for an audition,
Mm,
and literally, I just got back from out of town, and I had braids, um, and that's for an agent. In my headshot, of course, it's like with my fro.
yeah.
Go through the whole process, do the whole audition, do the size and all that jazz. And at the end, she was like, any questions for me? And I was, asking all the general agent to possible signee questions. She was like, okay, well, just a couple questions on my end. First, your hair, is that how you usually wear it? Is that because it's not that same way in the headshot? And like in the back of my mind, I'm like, really? Are you kidding?
Hmm.
I was like, no, how it is in the shot. That's usually how I have it. okay, well, yeah. She asked me a couple questions, like, okay, thank you, we'll be in touch, blah, blah, blah. I didn't get it, but it still was just like, Jesus, thank you. Because if they were that shallow to ask me something like, oh yeah, about your hair, and it was just like, lady,
Yeah.
of course she was a wonderful one. So it literally was just like,
YT. You and
but
I, YT.
but still, I was just like, ma'am, I was like, I know hell Black people that are assigned to this agency. You literally gonna ask me, oh, is this how your hair usually is? And I should have been like, yep. And then I put bees on it just so you can know I'm coming down the road.
Mm,
Like,
mm, mm. Oh my gosh. All right, y'all. Well, welcome to Black Table Read again. We're so excited for y'all who've been rocking with us since episode 1. We see all the follows going up. So we'd love it.
yeah.
Follow the movement, tweet us, Facebook us, Instagram us, all the things. YouTube. If you haven't, if this is your first time, late. You are late to the game, but we're thankful that you're here.
Thank you
But
so much.
go ahead and find us by going to YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, and look for Black Table Read. We should pop up in purple and black, and you should see our nice fine table that we've built for you to come sit and have a
Enjoy
good
it.
table read with us. So
Right.
we're going to kick off our first segment. If you're a first timer, this is our Blacktop segment. This is where we talk about all current events and things ranging from sports to politics to geek stuff like comics that I like. All the things Black that are happening in the entertainment world, both television, film, stage, all of it. So, Lydia, you want to kick us off first?
Yeah, so to knock it off, shout out to Essence for their HBCU homecoming celebration that they call She Got Now. I got to catch a little bit of day 2, and we see our lovely co-host rocking Howard University. HU.
You?
You know, I did not go to Howard, but I got
I did
a
not
lot
go
of
to
homies.
Howard either. Girlfriend sweatshirt.
But look, you gotta represent. You gotta represent.
Real.
It's kind of like, it's almost like wearing any clothes and stuff from any organization, or not organization, but more so like any universities. It's like, even if you didn't go there, it's like it's
Yeah.
us. So
That was
you
prominent
basically there.
in the 90s, you know, in a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
Black TV shows. That was like everywhere you turn, they were repping some HBCU.
Right. I mean, shoot, look at a different world. Like they literally
Yeah.
they were at a HBCU technically, and then still
Still
gave
repping
shout
other
outs
people.
to all of them. But yeah, so they had a celebration going on this past weekend, virtually, of course, and it was cool. Like, this time around is usually homecoming season. Yeah, so it was nice to, like, still see some artists come on there. No, Monica was on there, Jonathan Reynolds, um, Keisha Knight Pulliams, she went to Spelman, so she did like a little cooking segment. It was real cool. It really gave you like that essence of like, dang, like I miss homecoming. I didn't go to a HBCU, but I still miss homecoming. Just that whole essence of like going back, seeing those folks, and seeing all the Greeks doing their thing, getting the good food, going to the alumni party, seeing the step show when it happens, like all those things. And then the football game, maybe. But yeah, at my school, I went to Western Kentucky, so
See, I need to
we had our
experience
moments.
an HBCU homecoming. Out of
Go to Clark. Between
all,
Clark or Spellhouse, like they kick it here.
well, I was supposed to go to the Spell House was it last year? Yeah, I was supposed to go to Spell Houses last year, but I ended up, it fell smack dab in the middle of me doing a show. And you know how, like, when you're doing a show like that you close the show that night, you go home,
right?
You got to be back for that Tudo shake. You ain't trying to drink nothing. You trying to eat, maybe sleep, do something. So, but no, I was excited because this year we were supposed to go to Howard's homecoming, and then COVID.
Yeah, that's what I do want to experience. Howard's homecoming. Yeah, that would have been. But yeah, shout out to Essence for that, because literally that was like a good insight for folks who aren't too familiar, and especially like incoming freshmen that didn't get to experience homecoming for their first year, with COVID happening. And even though they may be on campus, it's like they really didn't get that whole essence of what homecoming really is. So yeah. Next up, we have another programming coming up here at the Alliance Theater here in Atlanta. They are hosting 5 different organizations here that are in the area of racial justice for, you know, the arts here in Atlanta, specifically for our theater industry. It's not small, but it's not that big, but at the same time, like, there's still enough of us to where we feel the backlash, we feel the never presence of what the industry hits, you know what I'm saying, especially like for us as, you know, BIPOC artists. Like, it's going to be a good thing. So shout out to all of those folks that'll be on the panel. Shout out to Black, our good friends Marcus Hopkins Turner and Brittany Manyweather and Tina Fears. I don't know if she'll be there, but shout out to them. They'll be making that move. Shout out to my boy Greg Hunter.
Come on,
that they're gonna push it through. And I know, and Deani Rodriguez, there's so many people that's on this panel.
Yeah,
that it's like just yeah, like it's so full. Leah Zorio, like, it's gonna be so good. It's happening Thursday night at 7 through Zoom. It's free, and they'll cover what the future will look like for Atlanta theater. And I mean, just like all over the country, in, you know, big places, you know, New York, LA, all those places, and especially like New York, the theater industry has literally been hit, and it's been smacked in the face by us to our white counterparts, just being like, you know, hey, we're here, we're coming, and we're gonna stay. And this is exactly what we need from you all if you want to see this art continue to push through. Because if not, we're not going to ask for a seat anymore. We're going to build our own tables. We're going to bring all the tools, and we're going to make sure that you can scoot over, because this little side to lease, this is literally what we're going to pick it up.
Oh yeah.
So shout out to them. That's going to be real cool. So if you can catch that, do it, please.
Yeah,
I would definitely appreciate it. So yeah.
Like you said, it's funny. I didn't realize how deep some of this stuff ran, as far as like how different a world. And I feel like I've been going through it blind, because like when you don't see something like overtly happening to you, like, you know it's happening, but it's like, oh well, I'm kind of in the clear. I haven't experienced this, but just to hear like the testimonies and things that were coming out, you know, during that time, but also on a grander scale, what was happening in Broadway. I don't know if you got a chance. Oh my God, I just had his name in my head and now I can't think of it. But there was a really powerful video that was on Instagram that I caught like early on when things were going on. And
you're talking about, yes, I know. Yeah,
I can't think of his name right now.
Yeah, I know you're talking about
him, and I can't think about it. That's terrible.
Yeah.
But it was like eye-opening to be like, these folks done lost their mind. If they think that we finna be up here shucking and jiving for almost pennies on the dollar, for you to be like, but we're doing diversity. It's like,
it's not enough. Like, it's not enough.
You can miss me with all of that. Sorry.
Yeah.
But no, I'm excited for that. I'm gonna definitely be trying to tune in.
Yeah, and it's having friends on Broadway. Like, it's sad that the stories can carry on wherever you are, whether it's on Broadway, whether it's at a regional theater, local theaters. Like, it's too common. And, you know, conversations like this is literally how the change starts. So yeah, for those of you all to tune in, please do.
Yes. All right, so switching gears, we're gonna go a little on the as hopefully some of y'all have. Hopefully y'all have gone to vote. I repeat, hopefully you have gone to vote. I voted yesterday. It took me like 20 minutes to do so. So if you have not, you can still early vote or absentee vote. But that's not what I wanted to talk about.
Which is what I did. I dropped mine off Yeah.
Hey, there you go. Drop it off.
Mhm.
Pod. But one thing we were going to talk about it last week, but we didn't have time. But Diddy has proposed to launch an entirely new political party called Our Black Party. It's really not taking sides as far as being Democrat or Republican. It's basically about the advancement of our people. And when I first heard this on Twitter, I was a little skeptical because I was like, okay, is this a Kanye situation? Because I'm a little concerned, Diddy. Do we need to check in with you? But after going and looking at the website, seeing what the statements are, seeing what kind of things, it makes sense. What he was
Yeah.
proposing on the website. I mean, it's kind of one of those things like, yeah, it's things like building intergenerational wealth,
Yeah.
having a actual political voice, making sure our vote counts and
Mhm.
not is it's not the thing that people pander to when it's election time. And it's like, oh, gotta go talk to the black people, but making sure like the actual black vote is impacted in a way that makes a difference at all times, not just when it's a president or senate or anything like that. So
Yeah.
if you get a chance, you want to check it out even more, you can go to www.ourblackparty.org. Like I said, I found it a pretty interesting read. They've got some really good materials if you're interested in looking. So go ahead and check that out. And then lastly, because we were talking about it a minute ago with Essence and HBCU, if you at any point have watched A Different World, your world has been changed for the better.
Mhm.
I don't know about y'all. I've always favored myself. I've always wanted to do somewhat relationship like Dwayne and Whitley.
Ugh.
Minus that whole getting married and almost getting married at the
Baby,
altar.
baby, please.
Baby,
I do. She
please.
said I do. To which one? I'm
Die.
sorry.
Just
To
die.
what? Like that literally is classic.
But they have their good moments. So it's like, yeah, I was like, I wouldn't mind having a little, especially when I went to college. I was like, maybe I'll get up on me a little Whitley. It did not happen, sadly. But there is going to be a Different World live reading. I don't know if many of you guys have been catching these various like theme Zoom calls with different. There was one with the Golden Girls with like Tracy Ellis Ross.
That was
Uh,
good. That was really good.
I think you said there was one last week with Sterling K. Brown, his wife.
Yeah. Gabrielle Union was the whole. They were doing a rendition of or the episode of Friends,
Okay, yeah.
and yeah. So what's his
But
name? Oh gosh, from Insecure, and yeah, there was a whole bunch of
Jay
them.
Ellis. Jay Ellis.
No, the
Not
one
that
that
one.
plays Nathan.
Okay, I know what you're talking. I don't know his name,
Yeah.
but I know what you're talking
Hmm.
about. But yeah, it's a part of their Zoom where it happens. Is basically a fun way of encouraging people to vote and all the different things that go into voting and the census and all that. So this is just another thing. So um, it looks like, oh, we got an update. So Tessa Thompson was supposed to be in it as she was supposed to be using for Canoe, but now she's apparently being moved to host. Yara was supposed to host. We talked about that yesterday.
Yeah.
But it looks like she's not anymore, which is still cool. But you got uh, Oswin Benjamin playing Dwayne, Kelly
Hmm.
McCreary playing Whitley, Storm Reed from Euphoria is playing Jaleesa and Freddie. And then they got Lil Yachty playing Ron. Uh, okay. Does Lily? Hopefully Lil Yachty know what A Different World is. Does somebody clue him in?
He's from here. He knows what it is, but
Okay,
let's just hope
cool.
he can act. I haven't
He
seen.
can act the
Well,
fool.
no, I take that back. He was in
How high?
he did How High too.
I didn't watch
So
that. I
he
like
did that.
classics. I like
Yeah,
classics.
which goes into our thing of what should be touched again and what shouldn't be touched. But in some cases, some sequels can be better. But yeah, if it ain't Method and Red, I don't
Yeah,
want
I
to
don't
see
want it.
it.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good on that. I'm good on that. So,
uh,
All right, y'all. Well, that wraps up our black tape. Not black table, Lord. That wraps up our black top. Whew. It's been a long
Try to
day,
end the show already. Look.
y'all. We're done. That ends our black top segment, and now we're gonna get ready for our table read, which I'm so excited for. Lydia, what we got on deck? What's for our table read today?
Our table read is MAGA Hats in Theater, The Road to Reparations. Now, we gave it that title because that is exactly what we are on. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 2020, the year that the world stopped, turned upside down, and the Lord said, we're going to shake it around and we're going to start all over.
Not shaking around.
Like legit. Press down, shake it together, run it over. Jesus made a way for me. Look, we're not about to get into it.
Man,
But
that's an organ player.
listen, but if you see a MAGA hat, which stands for Make America Great Again, you know who's wearing it. It is our current Presidente, current Commandero-in-Chief, the man who basically cares about certain issues that probably other folks don't, because a lot of it pertains to only him. And with that being said, you have folks that believe that same thing, and that when they wear, whether it's the hat, whether it's the shirt, whether they have the flag waving in the back of their pickup trucks, it makes you wonder, where are we really going to go from here? And it has got both Jarius and I to think, especially for us as artists. We are in this time of a reckoning. And we were just talking about, how some friends of ours are going to be on a panel this week where we talk about the racial injustice that's going on in the entertainment industry. And I mean, the arts community is just one chunk that's getting this spray of like all things racial, all things like it's so much of it that is wrong and feels so bad, to the point where it's like, no, this is the industry from which we live in. And when you have folks like that are behind the tables, from which we go in to audition for, from which we go into rehearsal with, from which we go on stage with, from the ones we go on set with, it just makes you think like, okay, where are we going to go from here? And just like the panel this week, just like a lot of panels I've been having via Zoom, and even ones that hopefully will happen later on, is it going to be that change that hopefully will stick? And it really will go from, what we go to in this election, that literally you have a week to vote and to get your voice heard. So yeah, people in the arts community, we have our different ideas and things about the current president, the current administration and everything. And it literally just like all barrels down, because a lot of the funding that goes towards the arts as well is handled by this current administration. And I know for both myself and Jerry, it's like we are also, not only are we entertainers, but we also are teaching artists. So we teach young children the arts from which we love and push it onto them. And we let them know about this beautiful art from which we love. And in some cases, in some cities, they don't have these arts educations anymore. A lot of it is pushed off by folks just like us, who are willing to just teach it that we're not inside of a school, but we'll teach it just, off the cuff. Yeah. Because, you have an administration that basically is cutting the funding for arts education. So we have to make it possible. And it's stuff like that to, just to continue the ball rolling for young people who are interested, whether it's singing, dancing, poetry, playing an instrument, any of those things. So the road to reparations starts, like we've been on that road. I think we're probably like, 1,000 miles in. Yeah. It's almost like that crisscross, that crisscross, like, track that you take from city to city. Now we taking this from coast to coast, top down, east, west, north, south. Like it is well on its way. And hopefully we're able to put that MAGA hat away.
Uh-oh, Lydia, we can't hear you.
I was muted there. That was the devil trying to let me know that he didn't want to know what I was going to say.
You were being silenced.
But yeah, so hopefully here we will be able to set a new standard for the arts community, especially for us as BIPOC artists and all the work that we're pushing forth. So yeah, you know, what do you think?
Oh man, so many thoughts. One thing in particular, I think I've learned most recently is I'm very tired of asking permission. I'm very, very far beyond being like, all right, can I please? And I want to be inclusive in hiring my friends, because me and Lydia are quite alike in a lot of things. Our friend pool is very diverse, and we like to bring in a lot of people for things. But I've been so energized to want to create a space for us, and hire more of us and showcase more of us, because people in Atlanta have failed to do so. We talked about this last week. I mentioned the name for a minute, but one thing that was very disturbing to me recently was seeing Brian Clowness. I'm just calling what was seeing him be overtly and proudly wearing the MAGA hat. Now, let me preface this by saying I have no problem, as far as whatever your political affiliations are. That's on you. Like, I'm more concerned with your heart placement, how you actually treat people, how you view people. Now, we can go back and forth between, political grounds and who's right, who's wrong all day. Like I said, I'm more concerned about where your heart is positioned, because that determines what kind of person you actually are. Now, the only problem when it comes to this Make America Great thing is what it has incited since it has become a thing.
Right.
It has incited violence. It has incited fear in minority groups. It is basically made the theater world so, it's almost like a powder keg at times, because you don't know, okay, did they see me as me, or they see me as a token? Like, I remember seeing videos even on Broadway of people bringing in banners of Trump 2020 or Trump this to Broadway shows. Like, you couldn't spend 2 hours in a theater and put all that at the door. Like, you had to bring, or leave it at home. You're coming to see a show. Wouldn't you want to, like, just take all that racism off for like 2 hours?
Just take it to the coach. Don't even take it to the coat check. Just don't
even bring it here.
Don't put it in the taxi. Don't put it in the Lyft or Uber. Just come to the show. Enjoy it.
And it's like, it made it so. It made me mad when I saw the video of Brian at this Trump rally, which ain't nobody got no damn mask on.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, when was that? Because there was a whole lot of people.
This was recently. Like, this was very recent.
Okay. Yeah,
and
that was
so no mask. You have them playing Memory from Cats in the background, and he just wailing. I was like, didn't Andrew Lloyd Webber give you a cease and desist like a while ago about something?
Oh,
like,
help.
It just that, but that's what I'm saying. Like, and mind you, Brian was the artistic director of Serenbe here in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Hiring Black artists, mistreating them, being overtly racist at every corner. So much so, like, when I heard what was going on with Ragtime, I was like, you got to be joking. Like, it just makes no sense. So I am well past making excuses for people who intentionally mean no good to the community.
For sure.
Like that. I'm not asking for permission. I'm taking over your spot.
Yeah.
You're on notice. I'm gonna look directly. You're on notice, whoever you are.
No, and it's
So
just like somebody put, oh, it's your mommy. She said, you guys have to create the space for the arts to continue and be unapologetic about it.
oh yeah, I come from good
Absolutely.
stock. I come from good stock.
Listen, come on,
you,
mama.
you know what it is. But that's what I said. Like I am well past that point. And I think it was funny when we did Lift Every Voice.
Yeah, that was good.
It was so powerful because when we did our debriefing, we were talking about that show had so many diverse Black people in it,
Mm-hmm.
like all Black, everything, all Black, everything from the front of the camera to the back, all Black, everything. And yet, even in that space, there was so much diversity, different shades, different shapes, voice
Mm-hmm.
types, vocal backgrounds,
Right.
artistic backgrounds, degrees, not like everything was so. And I was just sitting back and watching the video, like, wow, okay. So
Yeah.
we have a product that is worth seeing, that holds its own weight. Why hasn't this been a thing for a while?
Yeah.
And it's like, this is marketable, but people don't see the value. They think if it's all Black, I can't support it because it's whatever. I'm like, no, these some dope people that
Yeah.
are singing and acting their butts off and giving it like all they have. And it's a shame that y'all had to, it took a pandemic and a shutdown for people to realize that.
Right.
Like, so I think with the MAGA hats is, it's just weeding these folks out, honestly.
And it's
The,
showing true colors for people,
yeah,
for sure.
and I think it takes. I don't, for me, I'm not a big words person. Like I don't want post. I don't want uh Martin Luther type list on the church. I want actual like evidence that you are
Yeah.
trying to make a difference.
Right.
You can tell me, oh my God, yeah, I just realized we have an all white board. We're sorry about that. We're gonna try our best to be more inclusive. That's lip service to me. What are you actually
What you gonna
uh
do?
what you gonna do? Are you taking some people out? Are you going to revamp your board? Like I've seen a lot of posts of action plans, but I have yet to see the actual actions of your implementation.
Yeah.
Have you looked into your staffing? What does your staffing look like?
Yeah.
Are there different opinions? Like, I'm not saying you gotta just completely just go all Black. But I think there needs to be a balance of opinions and colors and backgrounds that make a difference.
Right.
One thing I harp on is our stage and our industry should look like the world we want to serve. Because
It looked like the world from which we live in. So we talked about that,
yeah,
how Atlanta is so Black, but you ain't gonna see it. A lot of the theaters here, they're not, they don't show that, A
yeah,
lot of the artistic directors or producers or whatever, some of them, they push through that change. Some of them worry about how many tickets they want to sell, and some of them
they worry about
they
their
just,
base too much.
yeah.
They worry
But
about their base, and like I have told them, bump your base. The thing about Black people is, if it serves us and is progressive, we support it.
oh sure, yeah.
We support, like, we will come out in droves. You know,
Caravans, legit.
we will legit, like, we will travel cross state lines.
Right.
But it has to be something that me and Lydia have talked about for a while now. If you've been paying attention, it has to elevate the culture and the
Right.
people that you're looking to bring in. I think we've gotten enough of well, let me pick this show because they like it. It's
Our
fun.
wonderful
It's
folks.
our wonderful patrons and our founders and whatnot. And I'll never forget, I was doing something when the pandemic first started, and I wanted to put something that was very much how I felt. And they were like, I would get fired for that. And I was like, all right. Well, dang, your hands tied, my hands tied. Who do we work for, really?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it should go back to what the arts and theater was originally. It's commentary for the most part on society.
Yeah.
A lot of times, and so I wish we could go back to that, but also move forward in the hopes that it looks diverse as we want it to be. I don't know. I it sucks when you don't know who to trust. To help progress that, because yeah, it takes all of us, the Black community, especially here in Atlanta.
Yeah.
But like I told somebody the other day, Black people have been saying some of this stuff for years. It's time for y'all fight. It's time for some of our white brothers and sisters to speak up with a loud voice and advocate.
Not their inside voices.
I need you to be loud and proud, like if you was wearing a MAGA hat.
Lord, I almost spit out my water. See, and I think that's the point of it, because I know when the theaters were first shutting down, shows were being canceled and things like that. And of course, it was around the same time that Breonna Taylor was killed and George Floyd. It literally was like, I was telling people all the time, it literally was like the perfect storm. There was all these things happening at the same time. And from us going to the Artist March here in Atlanta, it literally was right on time. And it was at the same time that some theaters, not even just here in Atlanta, just across the arts world, where we said we saw those action plans coming through, and was just like, oh, our Black brothers and sisters, we see you, we hear you, that whole thing. And there was so many of those that it was just like, okay, again, it's not like this is the first time police have taken upon themselves to protect and serve. This isn't the first time that this has basically been blatantly in our faces via video, via body cam. You know what I'm saying? All of these things have literally happened before. We know that you see us. We know that you hear us. We know that you are with us, whatever that means. And there were a lot of people that were at the Artist March. There were a lot of people in these past few protests that it's been all colors of folk, and it's been great to see. And it's like, you got some folks that are even like, oh, well, that's not enough. And it's like, well, it's something, you know what I'm saying? Like, even if it's not about going out and protesting in the streets, it is about putting that action together by, if you're saying that you want to change up what your staff looks like, that's going to take time, because you have to go ahead, you have to screen folks, you have to get the background checks and all that jazz, because you just don't want to hire anybody, you don't want to just bring anybody in your theaters, anybody in your organization, and be like, hey, do this job, and they're not the right person for it. But there are key people, in this city alone, that are, if they're not more passionate, that, oh my gosh, like if they're not more passionate about who they are when they are, displaying whatever character, but just them as themselves, like them as an individual. There are so many people in this city that literally would kill on whatever board, on whatever casting side, because they're just that passionate about it. And it just goes into, that sinking to those same folks, and even more that are, breezed over, that haven't been cast or whatever, because people don't know them or whatever it is. But I mean, just to go back to the MAGA hats and the flags and things, like it's just like, if people feel some type of way about, oh, well, he has on a Biden mask, or she loves Kamala Harris, it's just like, it's almost the same thing. But it's like,
no,
for what they possess, for what they incite, from what the message is, and I was listening to I brought her up before, but Jamel Hill used to work for ESPN, but she has her podcast called F It I'm Bothered. And she was on there talking with Representative Katie. Oh gosh, I'm gonna get her name later, but she basically was asking her about her representation while she's there because she's a representative in California, and what it looks like for her and what it's been for her. And she was like, I appreciate that in states like California, in states like New York, in states like, where you have a lot of people, like a big old population of people, that you need that representation to look like what is there. It's not just about representing the white, the black. You got your Latinos, you got your Asian, you got Indian, you have all these people to shoot, especially here in Atlanta. There's so many different, it's a melting pot here. And when you have something like that show up, whether it be the shirt, the hat, the flag, it's kind of like how folks are like, well, we wear the Confederate flag, it's a part of our culture. But do you know what it means? Do you know what it incites? Do you know what it pushes off? Do you know what it reads for people? That's what it is. And to see that blatantly in the theater on film sets, it's like that's where people come from. Oh yeah, I've been on plenty of sets where somebody will come in and they have a pin that has Trump 2020.
Like, hey, I'm gonna walk away now.
And it's like, and you're on your way to Crafty, and it's just like,
okay, all right.
Well, let me go over here before the director's just like, action, because let me pay attention to the action that's paying me versus the action that's not gonna give me anything. Listen, let me use all of this for the camera. You know what I'm saying?
Let me fix my face.
Yeah, but it's like, and it's just about changing ideals. It's just about hopefully folks just waking up to something that is blatantly hurtful for folk,
But unless you've been oppressed, like people think this whole mask mandate stuff that's been going on is oppression. No, I'm sorry to bring it to the door like that, but that is not oppression. Oppression is walking into a room and immediately having to unpack being a Black person in order to not come off threatening. That's oppression. Where you have to seemingly deconstruct yourself, because like for instance, I went to Old Navy yesterday, and I had bought some sunglasses probably almost a month ago, and when they came they were bent, and so I had talked to Old Navy online. They were like, hey, basically they couldn't do it online in the chat for me to get a new pair. So I either had to return it or return it, then reorder. I said, that's stupid. I'm gonna just go and return these things.
Yeah.
So I go into the store, I return them, and typically I'm used to, since I have experience as a cashier, asking people how they want their refund.
Yeah.
So the lady pressed the button and then asked me, and I was like, that's that's weird. Because if you had asked me, I would have told you, hey, I went on a gift card because what I purchased was on a Visa gift card that I don't have anymore. And so the whole day I was like, I should really go back and like, they have to fix this because Visa won't reissue me a card if I don't have the full card number, which of course I don't have.
Yeah.
But I had to literally talk myself out of doing that, of going up to Old Navy and speaking with a manager, because I was afraid that as a Black man in a predominantly white neighborhood in a white establishment, that if I raised my voice or was assertive in a way, it would come off aggressive. That's a lot to have to go through mentally just to get $5 on a gift card. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how deep some of this stuff runs.
Try being called the angry Black woman. We hear it way too much.
Oof.
And I have experienced it on so many different fronts, from myself personally, from other older Black ladies, and it's so frustrating when you see other women of other colors do the same thing, and it's like,
This is how
So she
Susan
can yell hellfire at you. And it's like, it makes you even more angry because it's like, what? Wait a minute. And of course, you want to,
Yeah.
brace yourself with poise and just be like, yes, I
Because
need a
for them,
refund for said thing. Yeah. And
just
it's just like,
Wednesday.
and they're just like, I want my refund now. And it's just like,
Because they're
and you,
passionate. That's passion. That's what passion looks like.
right. And then, because oh gosh, I remember this is maybe like a few weeks ago. I went to CVS and I was getting a birthday card for a friend. And literally, I went to the little self checkout and the receipt thing wasn't working. So didn't get my receipt. And of course, when you get like the little gift card to go with it, you want the receipt. So just in case, you just be like, hey, this is how much is on there.
Yeah.
So receipt thing wasn't working. And it was only 2 people that were working. And it was an older Black guy, younger Black chick. So the younger chick was, she at first she was behind the counter. And at that moment, she said, oh, she gets on the walkie-talkie and she's like, hey, I need to go to, to the restroom. So the guy comes back and he was just like, go ahead and hurry. But didn't realize they were the only 2 in the store. So it was the older white lady that was in front of me. And she was just like, oh my gosh, are they going to fix the self-checkout? I need to go. Excuse me, sir, can you help me? And he's like, well, ma'am, my other associate, she's not up here. Well, where is she? Because I need to go. And he's like, well, ma'am, we're the only 2 in the store. And it's like, my goodness, I don't know this is terrible. This is terrible. And it literally was just like, the higher that she went, more octaves were hit. And it was just like, ma'am, the more and more that you keep saying, this is terrible. It was just like, it's not going to change. So I'm there and I'm just like, okay, I needed to go too, as I was on a rush, but I'm just like, the receipt thing isn't working. So he was just like, oh, okay, well, just wait just a second, she'll be right back. I tell you, it may have been maybe like, it had to have been like 10 minutes. And homegirl still didn't come up front. And I'm like, so can you just like get the little roll of paper? And he was just like, well, because it was just so much going on. But just in that instance, it was like, he was looking at me like, please don't do me like this white lady did. I could just see it in his eyes of just being like, please don't. Like, but he could tell that I was missing, because I was just like, yo, in a rush here, sir, please can you help? And in my mind, I'm just like, I mean, it is crazy. And come to find out, the girl was coming up front and was on the phone.
Oh.
So literally that whole time, I'm looking at her and I'm just like, so this other lady comes, she was like, are you in line? Or it was like, no, you go ahead. Obviously she's on the phone and there's an important conversation that's going on to where she's acting like she's not at work right now. And she looked over and I'm like, yes, you acting like there's not people in line waiting for you. Like, come on, have some couth and have some professionalism. What the heck is wrong with you? And it literally was just like so much unpacking. But the guy was just like, thank you so much for being patient. Thank you so much because the other lady, she was just like, but she like threw her stuff down and left out of the store. It was so much.
She had that turkey flap going on underneath. This is terrible. I can just see it now.
This is terrible. It was so much. She wasn't even that old, but it was just like, ma'am, it was, yeah.
But in terms of the road to reparations, I think that we cannot look to others for that. I strongly believe that our reparations, or our coming into our own as a Black community, especially a Black arts community, is making our own waves, building our own stuff, financing it, making it the best it can be.
Come on, capital.
And then leaving these folks to figure it out, because they know how powerful the Black dollar is, which is why every chance they get, they put us strategically in those shows. Color Purple, Once on This Island, Big River, Dreamgirls.
Listen to me. Listen.
Memphis.
Listen. The doors
they put us in those shows and they put them up and then they go, here we go.
Where's my offering plate? Hold on. Let me.
Here we go.
I'm gonna put this on the lot. Listen, offering plate is going around. is going around.
But that's what it is. It's they know. And so in order to give us lip service of we're changed, they'll give us these shows and give us these moments.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but I can't have a seat at the table. I can't be a director. Lydia, I have yet to be directed by a Black person. I repeat, I have yet to be directed by a Black person. I have yet to have a Black music director for a show, a Black band. When I did Once on This Island out in Covington,
Wonderful.
I was like, and so there was a moment where we were back in the cast, we were talking about something with the drums. And I was like, it don't swing, you know. Black people, we got that swagger, that swing, you know.
Yeah.
It's who we are. It's engraved in us. And it was picked up on the mics backstage.
Yeah.
And the person heard it. I personally, I didn't apologize for what I said. I apologize that you heard it in that context, and that was totally unprofessional of me. I probably should have came to you. But it was like, why is it? And it's the same thing with institutions like musical theater programs, opera programs. I don't think I have had a Black professor at any point in time I was in undergrad or my master's.
For music?
For music.
Wow.
The last time I had a Black professor when I was in music was high school, and that was my piano teacher.
Wow.
And so it's like, we have credentials, we have the knowledge, we have the skill set, but these people refuse to put us in positions.
Yeah.
And I said, cool. So when we created JMT Productions, one of the first things I started doing was I told people, send me all the context of all the instrumentalists that are Black to me. I just need to know everybody.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Because I need to make sure people are having opportunities where they may not be. But also, like I said, infiltrating spaces that aren't necessarily designed for us. I'm not asking permission to be on this board. What does it take to be on the board? I want to be on your board. What's the buy-in? Okay. Do you need that in check, Cash App, money order, cold hard cash? Which one?
Venmo.
Venmo.
Yeah.
We can run a check real quick.
Yeah.
So the road to reparations starts with pretty much kind of what Diddy's talking about, bringing our community together. Let's put all of our resources together. Let's pull all of our resources. Let's start our own theater if it comes to it. But basically put ourselves in a position to where we're not, like I said, like we're not doing the Oliver Twist.
Oliver. Yeah.
More.
Please, sir.
Please, sir, can I have
some more?
That's done. That's done. It's 2020. We have a voice that is more than they are giving us.
Right.
But I'm not prone to violence, but if I see a MAGA hat and I'm in a show, we're gonna have some words. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, now that you say that, on the ship when we did After Midnight, there was a couple of folks that came on the ship that had their hats. And I remember it was after the second show that we had that first night. And it was a gentleman that came up to us. His wife, she was, just raving. Oh, I loved everything. The tap dancing, everything was so great. So he comes up to us. He takes off his hat, just to, shake our hands and stuff. And he was like, "Oh, it was great. It was wonderful." And he proceeds to tell us all his memories and stuff from when his grandfather went to the shows and stuff, and how his great grandfather went to the Cotton Club and all this other thing. And in my mind, I'm just looking at bro, that is a bright red hat, because we could see him. He was in how the lights had it, you could basically see up into the 6th or 7th row, and he was smack dab in the middle on the 5th row. And I remember during my solo, I'm going through, and I think my song was one of the few ones where I can actually talk to the audience. And I used to pick on people, and I'm looking through and I'm just and you, and I didn't even realize I was pointing at him. He was just huh, me, you pointing to me. And
Look,
it's like,
you better
it's like,
would have been like, all right, I'm going to my room.
but you know what? It's like, it just, like we said, it goes down to ideals of, if folks are in support of that, and even for folks that are in support of Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and even the folks that are in support of the independents, and anybody that's on the ballot, it it's so much mentality, that it shouldn't phase you, but it does because of who is behind it. And I remember being on a job with my dad recently, and one of the gentlemen that was one of the subcontractors had a mask that said Trump 2020. And before we even pulled up on the site, I remember just like stopping and just looking back, like I was sitting in the car and I'm looking like, Jesus, please don't let this make. 'Cause my dad, Black business owner,
Yeah.
The lead contract, like literally like lead over the entire job. And for some of them, they see that and they're just like, huh, let me, see if I can get past on him. My dad's like, nah, like
I'm good.
I'm definitely one of those that have been in this business for way too long. And no matter who you are, whether you're Black, white, whatever, this is what this is, because this is, my company or whatever. But yeah, like I saw the mask and I'm like, man, let's just hope that this doesn't, let's just pray for positivity. And dude was cool, it still just was like that level of anxiety that brought forth of like, there's another one. But it's just like you said, the road has to be paved by us and driven, even if we have to be like Henry Ford and build the cars ourselves.
Yeah.
And literally drive that thing, even if it's like in a big old tractor, and like pave the way.
And there is no
pour the
room
slab
for
of
MAGA
concrete.
hats.
Like you can tell I'm a contractor's daughter. Look, pour the concrete.
Yeah.
Wait about 30 days. Wait for it to dry
back.
up. Put down the black and come on back and make sure everything's there, and then move that thing. Like build on top of that and keep it on going, because there's the younger generation is looking at that.
Yeah.
And it pushes through. But yeah, man.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Well, that is the table read. So in summary, MAGA hats are not welcome in the theater, and the road of reparations will be paved through us. Amen, church?
Yes. The offering plate is
right,
still
y'all.
going around.
So for any of our first timers, we like to wrap up our show with our BTR moment. That is our breathe, think, release. It's kind of a time where we just kind of wrap up everything in a nice, pretty bow for you and send you on your way if you're in for the night or going out into the world or listening to it later on. So, all right, Lydia, you want to take this one away for today? Wrap us on up for our BTR.
I got you. So my main thing for this is to urge everyone, young, in the middle, old, to please go and vote, because it is way, 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 way too important. This election probably has turned this world into not even just the country, the world into a big old mirror to see like, okay, this is exactly what we're facing. If it's this person or if it's this person, this administration versus this administration.
Yeah.
And just looking at some stats from earlier, 40% of Americans did not vote last election. And it's probably more than that. 40 just seems too small, because it was way too much of, folks just giving their words and how they felt about certain candidates. And it was just like, okay, cool. And you would think that those same people would have gone to the polls and made their voices heard for that. And they didn't even go because they didn't like one candidate, or it was, two lesser evils, all of these things that people come up with. And like I was telling other people, if you feel that strongly about these two candidates, or even not even just talking about president, even talking about the folks who's going to the Senate, talking about the folks going in the car, everybody that's on the ballot, first of all, research who is going into these offices and making sure that it lines up with your policies. And if they still just don't match up for you, go independent, because you got folks there too. Hell, if they don't do it for you, just still go and make your voice heard, because it's still your right as a citizen of this country.
Yeah.
And just leave it there. That's the release. Like, leave it there, because you not going just gives more fuel for folks to, for the younger generation specifically. You have a lot of first time voters that's going to the polls this year. And I remember from my very first time, it was during Obama's time, his very first term.
Yeah.
And I remember it was like a lot of folks that were saying, hey, we need all the young people. The young people's going to make it through because we're the ones that's bringing in the new generation. If that wasn't so important then, it's way more important now. Because, I mean, look at where the state of our country is, or our world for that matter. Yeah. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We're in the middle of such a thing that hasn't happened in this world before, not at this capacity. So do yourself a favor and make your voice heard. Go out and vote. You have a week. Do it. November 3rd.
Let the chat say yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun,
All right,
dun,
y'all.
dun, dun,
Yes, release it at the polls. Early voting still going on. You got time, but don't take too much time.
No.
Get it done. Like I said, check your heart before you go. That's what I would say. Check your heart. Look at the people who you are putting in. They determine your life in a way, how it progresses, how it goes backwards. And I'll even put this in there. Think about your minority friends when you're voting for certain people too, because whatever policies they might want to implement might impact the people you call best friend, homie, whatever. Think about stuff like that. So,
all right, go together.
Yeah, go together. Something, but do something that makes an impact. Don't just complain on Facebook and wait till November and be like, well, 4 years of this, I guess, Right. So, all right, y'all. Well, I'm gonna let Lydia and myself go because we gotta go get ready for it. This Is Us. So, until next time.
You're waiting.
Look,
we appreciate y'all so much.
Thank y'all so much. Next week we'll actually have a special edition since it is the election. We won't have a full Black Table Read, but we'll have a special election edition that we hope you guys will tune in for. But until then, thank you so much, and y'all be safe, wear mask, and vote. All right.
All right, y'all.
Take
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Peace.